Well, good afternoon. How are you all today? I know I almost said good morning because I usually shoot them in the morning, but it's not. It's afternoon. And I'm going to put this. How are you today, by the way? I'm going to talk about a very important issue today that I think not many people talk about. Uh, not enough people talk about. Now I'm going to put this on all three channels. I'm going to put it on Ultimate Preparedness. I'm going to put it on the American channel. That's the name of the channel, the American. I'm going to put it on the church channel, Stonemont Church. And I think that wherever you are, I think the links to the others are down in the information box because it pertains to what may save our country. We talk a lot what about the problems in our country and the collapse of our country. But there was I'm going to read an article to you. We're going to discuss it just a little bit that I think will give you hope and I have seen it. I'll say this right now: I have seen it in my own life and among the young men that I know. I might tell you a story about a conversation I had with my sons later. But the title of this is "The Massive Return of Young Men to Church is exactly what America needs right now." And there is a great movement, and many people probably aren't aware of this. And it's exactly what we need. I think that there is a revival in our country. There is also a collapse. I mean, it's going to depend. Well, it'll depend on what God's will, but um, there is a battle. There is a huge battle going on, and we have not those on the more traditional side, the conservative side, have not been as involved in the battle as we should be. Okay, and the young men are rising up. I'll give you a couple of warnings before we start here. I have a mic right up here, and I'm going to be sipping on some coffee, and I tend to gulp loud. Can't help it. It's just the way I do it. And if that offends you, you might want to leave now. Also, my neighbor is about to mow his yard, his lawn, and if that bothers you, you might want to. I don't know. Maybe this mic will cancel out that noise. So we will just see what happens. Okay. So if you're sitting down and relaxing and listening to this, and I suggest that you do, listen to this with your full attention. Grab yourself something to sip on. I am sipping right now out of one of our very latest mug. This is not yet available to the public. This is one of the first private runs. Um, but I think it's going to be available later this week. And it says you can see the you can see it there. Maybe I don't know the sun's on it, and it's from Second Chronicles 7:14-15, and it has to do with what we're talking about today. It's a verse that many of you are familiar with. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. We need that. There is nothing that we need more than that right now. So let me take a sip, and then I'll let you know when they're available on our website, but they're not available yet. So, again, the title of this article is "The Massive Return of Young Men to Church is Exactly What America Needs Right Now." And I will read it. Across pews once dominated by gray heads and empty seats, a new presence is emerging. Young men in their 20s showing up with purpose. This is no fleeting trend or social media mirage. Data from Gallup and Barna confirm what observant Christians have sensed in their congregations: a resurgence of faith among males who just years ago seemed lost to secular distractions and cultural confusion. This shift matters profoundly. For decades, the left's relentless push towards relativism, identity politics, and self worship has hollowed out institutions, families, and individual lives. Young men bearing the brunt of a society that demonized masculinity while celebrating chaos are discovering what their fathers and grandfathers often took for granted. True strength flows from surrender to a higher calling. Gallup's latest findings reveal that 42% of young men now consider religion very important in their lives. 42%. A 14-point jump since 2023. and the highest level in a quarter century. Barna Group reports Gen Z churchgoers attending more frequently than any other generation, marking what they call a historic reversal. Young men are not just warming pews, they are leading the return. Sociologists scratch their heads at this development, but the reasons are clear to anyone willing to look beyond progressive talking points. The past decade exposed the emptiness of self expression without boundaries, of activism untethered from truth, and of technology promising connection while delivering isolation. Like rebels of previous eras who chased liberation only to find chains, today's young men have encountered the void at the heart of modern secularism. Dr. William J. Bennett, reflecting on his own journey from a secular college detour back to Catholic faith, captures the dynamic well. The chains of religion, he notes, prove liberating. Faith communities demand better. Purpose forged in struggle, sacrifice, and service to something eternal. This resonates deeply with young men wired for adventure, responsibility, and meaning beyond fleeting pleasures or online outrage. A generation recovering the transcendent will not bow easily to the state as ultimate authority. History bears this out. America's founding drew strength from biblical principles and men of faith who understood liberty as a divine trust, not a government grant. When young men embrace this inheritance, they become bulwarks against family erosion, educational indoctrination, and the erosion of religious liberty. Evidence already points to ripple effects. Post assassination of Charlie Kirk last September, Bible sales surged 36% in a month, reaching 21-year highs in 2025. Young people confronted with mortality and meaningless rage turn to the only source that has ever answered such questions adequately. This is not coincidence. It is providence at work amid gathering storms. From gender ideology's confusion to democratic socialism's false promises and AI's godless horizons. Strong male participation in the church strengthens the entire body. When men lead spiritually in homes and congregations, marriages stabilize, children flourish, and communities gain moral backbone. Research consistently shows religiously engaged men exhibit lower rates of destructive behaviors, higher commitment to family, and greater civic involvement. In an age of fatherlessness and aimlessness, this return signals hope for reversing national decline. Critics on the left dismiss or downplay these trends, perhaps sensing the threat to their narrative of inevitable secular progress. Yet the data keeps mounting, even as some attempt to attribute shifts solely to women's declining participation rather than men's revival. The reality in the pews tells otherwise. Young men are showing up, engaging, and seeking truth amid the lies. This resurgence invites the broader church to respond with vigor, not watered down relevance, but uncompromised proclamation of the gospel that has always transformed lives and societies. Pastors and leaders must disciple, and discipline these young men into mature believers ready to build families, defend truth, and engage culture without apology. The pattern echoes biblical precedent. When darkness deepens, light breaks through with greater brilliance. As the prophet declared in the days of national crisis, if my people which are called by my name, did you just see that on our mug? Shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. If I could put in something here, a little editorializing here, I'll read that again. If my people, which are called by my name, those are Christians. Okay, those are not Jews, not Israelis. They are Christians, which are called by my name, Christian, Christ, shall humble themselves, humble. Okay, get get rid of the pride, understand our proper place in things, and pray and seek my face, seek him. And here's the big one, turn from their wicked ways. Then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Young men answering this call today stand poised not merely to match the faithfulness of prior generations, but to surpass it. Their hunger for purpose, forged in cultural fire, positions them as instruments for renewal. America does not need more programs or policies divorced from virtue. It needs hearts reclaimed by the God who designed men for leadership, protection, and sacrificial love. The future remains unwritten, but the signs in the sanctuary point toward restoration. As these young men take their place, the reshaping of families, culture, and the nation itself may well follow. The question is whether the church and the country will rise to meet this moment with the same resolve they are rediscovering. Okay, that came from something called it was a website article, Blessed Truth or something like that. I should have said that. I don't have it written down here. I want to make a couple of points on this. First off, returning to the church. That does not mean now. There, of course, what they're talking about are more males, more young males. The Generation Z, the one that so many of the older people make fun of, and I keep saying, don't do it. Don't make fun of these people. Uh, they have more on the ball than you may think, and more than many people out there. I see it because I have sons in that generation. Uh, but when they talk about returning to church, I know that in this article it's talking about them going to a church, but we need to take that in the way that it's originally meant and really meant biblically, and that is the church being the body of believers. It's not a building, it's not a denomination. And when it talks about the older generation and pastors and such as that, nurturing and discipling these people, that is important. But it's important that they are discipled according to the right message, the true message of the gospel, not some weird message, not some secular, make me feel good message, and not some message that is trying to pervert Christianity and the true message of Christ as, as, as telling people they need to go back and observe the Mosaic laws. Okay, that's a heresy from hell, and it has misled many people. And I see that in those, the people who are drawn to those rather strange ideas and ideals are the ones who are most struggling, and also those who haven't been given a firm foundation of the true message of Christ, the true gospel. And so they're searching for something to do, some rules to obey. So Jesus gave us two rules. Love the Lord your God above all else with everything you got, and then love your neighbor as yourself. Those are the rules. And then he gave us something else. He gave us a commandment. And that is to go out into the world, not to hide from the world, but to go out into the world and create disciples, believers in all the nations. That is his charge. That is what's called the Great Commission. I see this. I mentioned this the other day in another video. I stayed up late the other night talking to my two sons. And I will tell you this, uh, their understanding of the world, of the gospel, of the will of God floored me. It was amazing even to me. And I've been right in it. I had no idea. They are pursuing, and especially my older son, because he's several years ahead of the younger one. But he has pursued this so much. His knowledge of the true meaning of the gospel, of Christ's message, and of God's will, and of the kingdom of God, it would astound you. It astounded me. And I asked how many people in your group feel like this? He says, a lot. Young men are the hope of this country. Men are supposed to be the foundation of a family, a country, a society, a community, whatever. Men are supposed to be that foundation. Women are the nurturers. But if men go weak, which has happened, the family, the country, the community crumble. And that's exactly what we've seen over the last 40 years, 50 years maybe. The men have grown weak. They've crumbled. They've stopped leading. They've stopped providing the strong leadership, spiritual, moral leadership in their families and churches and communities. And we're suffering the results of that right now. So my message to you all right now, and I want to say something to the older guys. For you younger guys, the future is in your hands. Do it God's way. There's a scripture that says there's a way that seems right to a man and leads to death. If you do it your way, you're going to mess it up. You do it God's way, you be the tool in his hand, and everything is going to work out the way it's supposed to. Be willing to be the tool. Don't try to be the boss in this, but stand up in strength in the leadership that you are supposed to have. It's a God-given responsibility. And you older men, if you've slipped away, get back. Get back. Many of the younger men have been allowed to wander in a spiritual wilderness because the older generation didn't properly disciple them. Their fathers didn't properly raise them. If that's you, correct it. It's not too late to get back to it. And your family needs it. And your community needs it. And your country needs it. So we are in a war. We know that all of this is spiritual warfare. And that's how you fight it, in spirit and in truth. So there is great hope. There is, just as there is great concern for our world, there is great hope. Now, what is God's will? We don't know. We don't always know. It could be to revive this country, the United States of America, or wherever you are. It might be to revive Canada or Australia or Great Britain or France. We don't know. And sometimes it'll seem impossible. But as Jesus himself said, it is impossible for men. But with God, everything is possible. But whatever his will is, that's what we need to want. Okay? It could be the collapse of the country. Maybe that's his will. Maybe the country's gone so far afield that he just says, nope, we're going to collapse this. The whole Old Testament is about that. Okay, the people who were blessed by God wandered away from God. God sent them into slavery, and then they returned, and he brought them back, and he blessed them again. All that. Well, that's Old Testament stuff, and that's really the history of Israel, or the nation of Israel, not the country of Israel that everybody talks about nowadays. That has nothing to do with the nation of Israel. But the New Testament is different. Follow that. Let that guide you. Be guided by the message of hope, the message of responsibility, and the message that we are supposed to give up our headship to the Father himself. And then we are supposed to bring that down to our families, communities, and country. Okay. Something to think on. But there is hope as well as concern for this country. We will see what happens, but it's important that all of us do our part. And that's the Sunday message. You all have a great day. and I'll talk to you later.